Hi everyone, John here, and today on To The Garage we are going to swap the lower damper bushes on the back of Steed, a 1997 XK8. Hello. So what we're looking at, so we're sliding underneath Steed. Here is the bottom of the damper, and here is the bush that runs through the damper, and it is toast. It's completely failed and it needs swapping. It's going to cause the rear suspension to knock. It's going to make the handling a little bit squirrely. It's going to affect tyre wear, and it fails the UK MOT. So we're going to be getting that out. Rather than take the entire damper out, which is a little more involved than you would like on this car, I'm going to try and swap these in situ. So we're going to take out the pivot bolt. We're going to raise the suspension by putting some load on it and collapsing it. And hopefully we get this eye to drop far enough that we can use some tools and techniques to pull out the bush and push a new one in place before putting it all back. That's the plan anyway. I've got first world problems. I'm on a lift, so I've got my strongman lift that's holding the car up. So this is not got any load on it. You know, I can't put the wheels on and use that to compress the suspension. So I'll be using my trolley jack underneath here at the appropriate moment to push up on the suspension and lower my ramp down to give me enough reach. So you won't have to do that if you're doing this at the side of the road, or you've got axle stands in place or something. Hopefully the suspension is pushed up and the damper will push out through this hole in the bottom of the suspension leg as soon as you get the bolt out. But getting the bolt out is the first challenge. I have put some penetrant on it. It's a WD-40 specialist penetrant. It's been on there for about 10 minutes. These are 22mm bolts. It's a bolt coming through from this end and a nut on this end. So I'm going to put a spanner on there. I'm going to put my impact gun on here and see if we can whiz it out. Wish us luck. Yay! I know this is a tool that a lot of you won't have, but if you're working on suspension particularly, because it tends to be big, heavy nuts and bolts, and things do tend to be corroded, I can't recommend enough asking Santa or your birthday or whatever for a good impact gun. Let's try the other way around. Don't want to come off the end, probably damaged. A few run-ups. Lubricant on the end will hopefully get us off. Can't speak. Yay! We're off. Yes. Brilliant. Now, is the bolt loose in the damper? Yes, it is. So that's gone rather well. Just going to pop the nut back on. I've got a heavy-ish hammer, just give it a tap. Yep, that's sliding back. Take the nut off at that stage. Now it's the damper that limits the downward travel of the suspension, so at the moment this will be relatively loaded up, pulling down on this bolt. The damper isn't able to go down as far as the suspension is. So what I'm going to do now is lower the car and hold the weight of this lower suspension arm just on this corner on my jack. I'm going to take the weight. As long as I've got a little bit of upward movement, there we go, feel that up. Should be the perfect height. There we go. For getting the pin out, the bolt, from the damper. So let's see what we can do. Put the spanner on the other end. See if we can pull that bolt out. Yep, it's coming. There we go. So the trick is not to lift very far. Just take the weight. Okay, so now the damper is free. Now the question is, when we jack the suspension up, how much movement do we get? Does that come through far enough? I'm going to find out. Here we go. There we are. So we can get at the damper. We can even turn it. Can we get sufficient space to do what we want? That's about as far as I want to go, because I'm starting to lift the car relative to the ramp. Okay. So you can see this is just falling to pieces. Absolutely destroyed. When you're drifting out or pulling bushes, it's always handy to have the new ones around, because you can't always tell what diameter it is that you're going to push on. I've got a front and a rear. I've checked them, they're both the same diameter, and these are probably about 39 millimeters. I've found myself a drifting cap which is 38 diameter, and it's got a bit of a recess in it, but when I pull in on this, if this was the new one I was inserting, I'd be damaging all of that rubber. Doesn't matter to me in the slightest when I'm doing this on the old one, because I'm going to destroy it, because it's already destroyed. So I'm going to use this to pull out the existing bush. When I get the old one out, I will make the old bush into a drift kit for the new bushes. And that's a good way of building up your collection of drifts and caps, but also ensures that you don't do any damage. So to give you an idea what we're going to do on the car, that's going to go through the eye on the existing damper bush, like so. This will pull up against the damper itself. This has got a thread in it and is going to screw on here. And then, because I'm going to keep tightening this nut, effectively this will keep screwing in, screwing in, screwing in, screwing in. The damper's stuck against this and it pushes the whole thing inside that. And then bang, it'll all come out. So that's the plan. You can make up this sort of thing, obviously from scratch, but it's a good idea to buy yourself a pulling kit to get you going. And then like me, you sort of build your collection of bits and bobs whilst you're drifting. They're also useful for work on presses as well, because you've got all these great diameters. So I'm going to lube this up so that I get the easiest possible job, and then we'll crack on under the car. Might just be this spreading over that. Let's get this back out. Not sure. That's a frustrating job. Are we moving it or are we not? After a lot of what I would term grunt, tap and repeat, it started to move. I won't lie, it's been about an hour. I've changed directions a couple of times. I'm convinced it's moving now. Also, I put a small spring compressor on the suspension just to give me just a couple of centimetres, probably, not even that, more space with the eye. I was this close to going and getting my blow lamp and warming up the eye, which wouldn't have been a problem. It's just, you know, you'd rather just pull the thing out. If I was going to do that, I'd put it under plenty of tension first, then warm the eye up, and hopefully you did it go click or bang, and you know things were moving. Right, let's go back and see if we actually pull this thing out. Just let the impact gun cool down. Got the breaker bar. That's where it's come to. You see why people change the whole damper rather than the bush. It is a lot of work to get it out, but it's probably less physical. That's going now. Going well. You can hear the nice clicks and jumps. Ooh. Whee! Da 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 da. Ow, that's hot. The bush is out. Oh. Ooh. So there you go. In there is a, I'll say nylon, might not be nylon, cage. There are steel seats that are pressed down onto the cage, which cause the sort of toothed area to close in, and that's pressed into position. This edge here is for you to clip on the boots, and inside it all is that, a sleeve with a spherical centre. So they look very simple metallastic bushes, but actually not so. See if we can get the nylon part out. Yep. There we go. So they are split nylon cage that goes over there, expands, and then this part closes this end as it's pressed in, putting the whole thing together. So we are, all I've done is I've cleaned it up on the outside using a linishing wheel, and it's fractionally smaller than it used to be. Dressed this face, dressed that face. I'd left the inner in the end. I realised it didn't make any odds. And inside, I don't know if you can, there we go. It says XK8 rear R damper. So now if I ever want to push a rear damper bush, I know I've got something here that should go over all of that stuff, because all that stuff was inside this. There we go. And push just on the outer to push it in. If I wanted to pull something out, I might linish this a lot more just to make sure it's definitely clear to go through. Or what I'd do is put a 1mm cutting wheel on my angle grinder, cut a slot all the way through, clamp it in the vise, and on the inside put 2 tack welds. And that means that you've got something that is definitely a little smaller than this. But again, as that contact face which is just going to be pushing on the outer. So yeah, make your own up from the removed parts of doing the job once. And of course this diameter will match a lot of other cars' bushes, so it's not like you really just got a bespoke drift, if that's the right word for it, for this job. You've got something for lots of jobs. So my rig for reinsertion will be this through the eye of the damper. I only need the cap part now, and I'm going to pull the bush through the eye of the damper, and I'll be able to get that within about 5 mil, and then I'll change my setup like that and use this gap to see if I'm pulling things flush. But yeah, we'll be pulling that in. We'll be using our new drift to pull with, and that will go over, just tuck the wire in. I'll go over there like that. There we go. So that will be pulled in, and of course I need a nut, so we'll just use this as the nut and put that on the back there. And yeah, wind this end, pull the whole thing in. A little bit further. A little bit further. We're nearly there. Just give that a little wallop with the end of a spanner. Ta-da! 22 mil. Other side's turning. And the correct torque for this is 80 to 100 Newton meters. That's 80. A bit more. And that's job done. Hooray! So we can head over to our board and finish the day with some more ticking off. Where is it? Oh, I spotted another one that we've done. Fog lamps clouded over. Courtesy of Joe the sock puppet. We got one of those sorted. Yay. Damper, bush, front, rear damper bush, 2 off, 1 done. Yes. Indicator bulbs white, 1 done. Come on, yes, we're doing this. Lock nut cover tool is finished. That one's finished. It's coming along nicely. If you're enjoying our channel, then don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon so you get notifications of new videos. And please give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, and you can share the videos. And below the video is always the area where you can comment and get involved with the chat.